like I was saying, because I probably shouldn't say this on the podcast, but so I failed my calc quiz, and I went out to go watch Thursday Night Football with my friends, and drank 3/4 of a pitcher of beer, and after that, woke up. I went to bed at like 2 a.m, and then went.
What was this last night?
Last night, woke up at like 6 for the gym, and now here I am.
Wow, you're an overachiever.
Yep.
Good job,
so
Sonny.
My bladder's just like yours today.
Your bladder's good. Yep.
So.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Bladder Talk with Sonny and Ahmed.
Sonny and
Ahmed.
The turns the table.
All right. So you open up with a joke?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I recently found out I was colorblind. That came out of the blue.
It was okay. It was okay. You know who I don't trust?
Who?
People who do acupuncture. They're backstabbers.
Oh my goodness.
Oh wait, I got my glasses on. That's okay. That's okay. Yep.
I don't have any more jokes.
That's all you got?
I got one.
You didn't have any other?
No.
Okay, because I got 3 more.
All right, go for it.
What do you call a Asian man who always pays with exact change?
What?
Exactly.
They're not even funny like that.
What are you talking about? That's amazing.
Nah, I've heard better, but go ahead. What's the other one?
I got 2 more. Who's the best kung fu vegetable?
Who?
Broccoli.
Oh gosh,
It's watching
funny,
you
I'm
laugh.
crying.
Otherwise, I'd be stoic and stone cold
Oh,
over here. Okay, I got
goodness.
last one. I got last one. I always get nostalgic when I'm putting my car in reverse. It really takes me back.
I'll do it. No. No, man. Can't hit hard with those car jokes.
Really? I thought you would like that. That's why. I
Oh
said
no,
that.
it was funny. I'm tearing up.
You're tearing up. Okay.
I'm tearing up.
All right. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Hydro Homies.
Hydro
with
homies.
Sonny and Dylan.
How's it going?
It's going good, man. This is episode 241, right? 241?
241.
241, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's about that. I lost track at some point.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, episode 240.
I haven't edited the other 240, so my bad. It's gonna be it's gonna be uploaded like 2 years late. So
2 years late.
just
Yeah,
keep that
the
in mind.
last one was what I was telling Brian, right? Brian, what took you 8 months to even eventually? You never even edited it, did you?
I did edit it.
You did?
Yeah,
We never posted it.
we did.
You posted it to your.
Yeah,
Did you ever post like the video or anything?
I did.
Did you post the video that Justin edited?
I don't think so.
I don't. Either way,
I just
it
took
was
my local
8
file.
or 9 months of waiting for
Yeah.
you to edit that one.
I was also in like the hardest semester of engineering
Yeah,
school.
did you pass?
No. Yeah. So it was a lose-lose situation, but hey, we're passing this time around.
Yeah, how are your grades?
They're actually pretty good.
Did you have that calc?
Yeah, the calc quiz yesterday kind of went to shits, but the test that I took, that went pretty well. Statics, which is the class that I'm studying for, that I failed like twice before, I did pretty good on that exam too. So right now I'm passing. I'm doing well.
What
so.
year are you in?
So I'm technically a senior, but based on classes, I'm a sophomore. Plus, I was in this program called IB in high school, which basically fucked me over because they had these like, it's kind of like AP classes, but they had their own little like term for it. And UCF didn't take any of my credits. Michigan would have, UF would have, Clemson would
I'm just
have.
hearing a bunch of excuses right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remind me what age you are and how you're going through college right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean I can't talk. I'm not out of college yet, so I digress.
Dude, the class I'm in right now is just the absolute worst.
Which class is it? English 2?
No, basic math.
Come on, man.
So it's just I think we talked about this before that online college is so ripe for innovation, dude. Like signing up for classes Like their system was built in like '98 on like Microsoft Front Page or something. Do you even know what Front Page is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's how I started. When we first started doing web development, it was all on Front Page.
I figured
back in the day. Is that even around anymore?
No.
I don't think so.
Now you have a lot more.
Everything's all in CMSs and
CMS,
Squarespace and Wix.
Yep.
Wait, no, we got to go back before we jump to Squarespace and Sonny's new website. So I'm in student life skills because I think I want to transfer to UCF, do the direct connect, because there's a ton of classes that I really want to take at UCF, political science classes, all the stuff that,
of course
I would like.
Perfect university for you too.
And Valencia has a couple. Like there's one I'm really excited about. I think it's called Peace Studies and International Politics and stuff like that. I absolutely want to take those. Talking about how it's ripe for innovation, you go onto their online course catalog and you see like, oh, okay, this is the class I want to take, and no prerequisites. I go to sign up, and it's like, well, you don't have the prerequisites. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So for this semester, the only one that I could get into was the student life skills, which is just stupid.
It is.
It is absolutely. Did you take it?
They were like, as soon as I was in orientation, they kept telling me, oh, you should take it. It'll definitely like teach you how to become a better student. Never took it. I learned how to be a better student.
It's required, I'm pretty sure.
It's required now because they saw like the work ethic of like new students after the whole COVID semesters.
You want to talk about work ethic, right?
Oh,
dude, like, I don't want to rip on my professor.
In my day.
No, I'm going to talk about my professor.
Okay.
Like, there's so many typos in the instructions and whatnot, right? There's typos in the instructions. There's files that they say you need, and they're not there, okay? And then one of the things that really pisses me off is like, probably a quarter of your grade is doing discussions, right?
Discussion posts.
And my favorite part is that like half of that grade for that particular discussion is responding to people who responded to you.
Yep.
Well, what if nobody responds to you?
Then you get home free.
No.
Really?
I have lost points because of that. It's ridiculous.
Then just make your initial response somewhat replyable. Like for me, I'm taking
nobody's
geology.
excited to talk to me.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I do got a surprise for you though.
Oh, buddy.
Because we're on the Hydro Homies. Hydro Homies Extravaganza podcast.
This is why you got here this early. Sparkling water.
Sparkling water, baby.
Oh.
Yes.
Guess you want me to take a look at this TV static. Cheers.
Refreshing.
I wasn't.
LaCroix, hit me up if you want a sponsorship.
I got this all over.
Brian's on it. Brian knows what I'm talking about. Do you like it?
It's okay. I mean, I'll drink it. It tastes like beer.
How did we end up talking about water in the last episode?
I don't remember.
Episode
but
212.
I was gonna ask you last night if you wanted me to bring like a whole bunch of water. We taste test
I was thinking about it. I was gonna fill up another Yeti and bring it to you.
You know what? We're gonna move that whole Hydro Homies episode to the next one.
We're gonna do another one.
We're
Right?
gonna
Because I
do
thought this
another
was the jokes and water tasting episode. That's what I was prepared for.
I mean, you clearly wanted to compensate for your poor performance last podcast.
Yeah, I had to bring you drinks.
So we had I guess that's what we're doing now. So.
All right, so Sonny's website. Let's talk about that. How's that going for you?
So right now I have the one that's live is the one that my best friend has created.
Is that WordPress?
No, it's just from scratch. He like literally has typed in the code, started from bracket HTML/bracket, and
I couldn't even do that anymore.
I was able to do it because I took a web design class, so I knew what I was doing. And my first like website version 1 that I made myself. After that, my buddy took over and he used it for his portfolio, the same way that I take pictures for other people and use it for my portfolio. He didn't charge me. He's like, listen, any new features you want, I will test them out myself and see if I can like implement them into your website. Everything was going pretty well. I liked the design of the website, but adding photos was a pain in the ass. I had to go through 3 other like websites, pay money for more storage, all this shit. And like, I don't compress my photos. I put them on RAW because people like to take a look and see, oh, Sonny can shoot quite detailed. So that's like kind of a little bit of the enigma of my website.
Raw dog style.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very minimalistic too. But I just started using Squarespace thanks to you.
This podcast is sponsored by Squarespace.
If you need a website, hit Squarespace
Yes.
up and use code Dylan Ogline has a small cock for 15% off.
No, it's just Dylan.
Dylan. Anyways,
Wow.
yeah, so I started using theirs, and I'm nowhere near finished with it, but a lot of the features are just so much easier to use. Adding photos is done like this. I can just make a file, and I have to do a little bit of preparation before, but I can just literally take all those pictures that I've taken, Control A, hit open, and then it'll just like populate all over the website. So the templates are really cool too. Everything just kind of works to your ease, and the biggest thing is I can set up a shop now. That's something that my buddy has been kind of struggling with because there's 10 different directions you can go with it, but to be able to pay one rate and just get it all done in one website and not have to go to other websites makes it so much easier.
Absolutely.
So I've been taking a little bit more of your advice recently, so it definitely helps. And there's one thing I actually wanted to talk about. So I posted a reel of like just cars racing down a racetrack called Sebring. That's where I basically made most of my money.
South Florida, right?
South Florida, yep. Yeah. And this reel I uploaded on October 7th. It is October 28th currently. And 2 days ago, this reel had like 1,500 plays, like 50 likes or something like that. I checked today. I had like 95 notifications on Instagram. I have 4,400 plays and over like 450 likes. It's crazy.
Awesome.
So I guess it's just the sound working or something like that, but the reels are broken and Instagram is now broken.
Yeah.
So like now I have to do what you told me, and it's just like basically go out and just start posting your content. Just make content, post it, doesn't really matter. And
you gotta do reels.
It's my exposure's been going up big time.
They're all about reels now. They're just trying to compete with TikTok.
Yeah.
As a marketer, I'm okay with that because I hate the TikTok advertising platform as it stands right now.
Yeah.
Plus, they're always talking about like banning TikTok, so we don't have any clients that are on that. As far as like posting pictures and stuff to Instagram, I feel like that's kind of losing its.
And that was the main purpose of it. Like Facebook, you take a look at that, and you post like a status, you post a picture like hanging with my kids or something like that.
Yeah, well, that's Twitter, dude.
Yeah, Twitter. Yeah, that's about to change thanks to Elon. But
you're an Elon fan, aren't you?
Yeah, very much so.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I don't like Tesla, but like as much as you do. But the fact that he's just kind of like desensitizing Twitter in a way, because like everyone on there, like, listen, like I'm all for, being good to other people and like not bullying and stuff, but like there's a line that gets crossed, and like you've heard of cancel culture, right?
Of course.
So like people just have to like restrict what they say, and it's like if you're on Twitter, like I understand if your job fires you for something stupid that you say, but like you should just be able to just say whatever you want and just like let things fly.
Well, you can do that.
Yeah, but then like then you have like
somebody.
Then you have like thousands of other people that are like, no, your opinion's wrong. Like splish splash, your opinion's trash.
Well, that's just
like,
the internet.
This. So yeah,
I mean, I've read you some of the comments on like my platform with the biggest following is Facebook, which sucks. Dude, I'll get hundreds or thousands of comments on a post, right? I mean, I've read some of them to you. I mean, people were like.
That's because you're you.
Lives in his mommy's
if he hit send on any of those messages, it'd be game over. Mark my words.
Yeah, sometimes I want to post some pretty. Not like inappropriate. I would never get violent. It'd be like "fuck you" or like "you need to die," which I get death threats all the time.
Yeah.
Dude. I kind of want to just respond with kind of like that witty, sarcastic response to some of these people. But I have toned that down, and now I don't respond to anybody. Unless you're verified, like unless you're somebody that's big, I won't even talk to you on Twitter. I won't talk to you on Facebook. Like I don't even see the notifications.
Damn.
So, which you just have to, because there's so many people, which comes back to your point of like, cancel culture. And I'll post something to Facebook. There'll be 500 comments. 250 of them will be like, Dylan's absolutely right. I love this guy. He knows what he's talking about. The other 250 is Dylan's obviously never owned a business. He lives in his mommy's basement, and I don't even know whatever the stupid shit that people say.
And that just goes off of people like assuming and just trying to like make assumptions like, oh, I know something and I think it's right, so I'm just going to force it
So
down
what do
other
you think
people's throats.
Elon's going to do to get rid of that or change that?
Well, I mean, just based on the stuff, like I haven't looked too much into it. I literally just got the notification. I was like, huh, cool. But
It was
like,
enough to post on your
Yeah,
your Instagram
you're right.
story.
You're
Yeah,
salty
yeah.
about that, aren't you? You're salty about that. But no, like, I mean, the way that I look at it is based on the stuff that he's posted on Instagram and Twitter before, he really doesn't give a fuck about what he says.
Mhm.
So to be able to kind of like he like fired pretty much a whole bunch of the
executives
like,
team.
Yeah, executives.
Yeah.
And after that, I mean, I just feel like he's going to kind of set the mark again to where you can just say whatever the hell you want. I don't know if you follow up with like Kanye and his like breakdowns that he has on Instagram like
Yeah.
once a month, but he'll just like take text and just post those, and everyone just like, some people are like, oh yeah, Kanye's right. Some people are like, oh no, he's wrong. Same way people send you death
Yeah.
threats and not. But at the end of the day, like Instagram will say, oh, he's just causing a nuisance, and they restrict him or they suspend him for whatever.
So you think
reason.
it's the nuisance that they're suspending?
It's just like just let it be posted. I don't know. Like I personally have not been bothered by it at all. So if that's the case, you know, what's there to say? They're not going at a direct attack for somebody.
Mhm.
People should be able to say what they think. There's so many people. Like one person will post something, let's say like a very conservative take on something,
Mhm.
and like a whole bunch of like people that are like liberal will come in and just attack that one take.
Absolutely.
Without even like looking at the facts. And there's been times that I've seen on Twitter where people post something very truthful, like it's backed up by facts, and then other people from a different party just come in and ramp it down as if
And you don't think that happens
factual.
on both sides?
Oh, I'm saying it happens on both sides. So that's why I'm saying, as far as equality goes, like this will just kind of open it up for people to just be able to say what they think.
So, a couple things on that is, I think you need to step back and think about the job that Twitter has, right?
Mhm.
So they kind of have two options. One is let it be wide open. So I can say, fuck so and so, I'm going to go murder them. Okay, that's wide open, which is what people on the right, pointing to the left, people on the right say that they want, right? But then if people are putting death threats, like that's going to gain steam, right? And you're going to have sicko fans, like people who are backing Kanye, who are like, oh, you know, fuck the Jews, we need to go gas the Jews, because he posts that shit. You know, he has 100 million people that are following him. And out of the 100 million, there's probably 1,000 plus absolute crazy psychopaths that if he says some crazy shit, they're going to go take action, right? So the right option of the rights option of wide open speech doesn't sound so appealing because you will have people dying.
Yeah.
Okay, the other option, which is what they're trying to walk the line of, is somewhat moderation, like trying to draw a line. The problem is it's a very blurry line.
Yeah.
Okay, and there is absolutely no way to be perfect with it. So there has to be a team, there has to be individuals who are making arbitrary decisions of, hey, this is too far, this is not enough. I think that's probably, one, it's a private business, right? So I am 110% for, if Twitter wants to ban all liberals, go at it. If they want to ban all conservatives, go at it. If they want to ban all white people or blacks or Asians or men, it is a private platform. They should absolutely be allowed to do that. Just like Facebook should be allowed to do it, Instagram should be allowed to do it. It is a private platform. That would be like, I am allowed to control who comes into my home. If I don't want other men to come into my home, that is a personal decision, and I'm allowed to do that, right? A lot of people get confused and they think, oh, this is First Amendment free speech bullshit. That's absolutely incorrect. Okay, free speech is the government can't control who is speaking. So if if I were to go on Truth Social, okay, I guarantee I'd get banned in like a day. Like it would not go good, right? And that's just the nature of it, and that's okay. That's their platform, and they wanna have it. I think overall, it's probably leading to the deterioration of our society, which we could have an in-depth conversation about.
Yes,
but yeah, it's a private platform. I am not The Elon bros will be on me about this one. I think in person I would probably get along with Elon, right? Business guy. I love, he has, at least with interviews that I've seen, he has a bright vision of the future.
Love you too.
I believe a pessimistic view of the future, you know, we could always have had that. There's people that have it now, and there was people in the past who had it, and hey, we got better. But I think having that bright idea of the future and aiming for better is probably a good thing. So I like that about Elon. What I don't like is that this culture has built around him, that he's like this savior of free speech. When I think once he gets in charge, you know, the team's going to be like, we have to somewhat moderate. We can't have people saying, we can't have Kanye going off saying kill all the Jews. That's probably a bad thing. We got to stop that.
Well, obviously, like, I definitely, like, apart from the obvious, so this is the way I look at things. If you commit, like, a penalty in football, you get a flag, 15 yards. And let's say it's, like, I don't know, something major for, like a face mask or something like that. The referee has the option to take a look at the penalty and assess that penalty, or they're going to say, no, this guy's too dangerous, or are they just going to, like, chicken out and say, this guy's too dangerous, I want him out right now, over a small penalty, or over, like, something that could be major. So it's, like, the same way with social media. Someone posts something, and obviously if they say something way too out of line, you're out. That makes sense. But I think a lot of things, like, I look at it on Instagram all the time. They say, no nudity, no this, no that. And then now you have these, like, meme pages that are, like, just spamming with, like, OnlyFans girls that are literally naked. And the first thing, when I open up Instagram, I don't want to, like, yeah, I love titties, but I don't want to see a pair of titties right as soon as I open up Instagram in public.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I got the hub for. So, like, that's the kind of thing that I'm saying is, like, moderation, you're right, but to an extent. There's certain things that should have no limits at all, and then there's certain things that should just be a hard line on social media. It's hard to assess every little thing because you got millions of people posting.
Billions.
But, yeah, like, so many people.
The truth is, like, I think YouTube probably has it worse because you literally have to watch the content, right? Like, there's what, like, 100 million hours posted every day or some shit. Like, it's an insane. It is literally impossible to moderate that content. And, you know, when you're talking about, you know, titties showing up on your Instagram feed, right? Those pages probably are going to get banned tomorrow. But
they're not. That's unfortunate. Like, you can scroll down. I click on, like, one of the pages, and I just see, like, 4 of the same thing. Because you know how Instagram added in, like, the collaborator thing?
Yeah.
So, like, so you can basically, like, let's say I collaborate with you over Chavla Media and you when I take pictures of you. So it'll show up on my feed and it'll show up on your feed. So if I decide to collaborate with Dylan Ogline Digital, and I don't know,
shows up on all 3 feeds.
Yeah, it'll show up like that. So if you scroll down to one of those other, like, promotional pages, and you'll just see titty all the way down to, like, months ago. So it's not like they just create a new account, post that video, and just call it a day. They have some sort of backing. And you see the comments.
How do you know that they didn't post it and then archive it?
Well, that's a good question, actually.
You have to keep in mind that there are teams of people. One of the most successful agency owners I know owns an OnlyFans agency. He makes like $400,000 a month.
Damn.
That's his cut. That's his, like, take-home profit on an OnlyFans agency. So when you're doing that kind of revenue, and I'm not saying I think most of his promotions are Reddit, but when you have that kind of revenue, you can hire teams of people, not just like these apps that you can go buy, like fake accounts. You can hire teams of people that literally their job is to game the system, and if you keep doing it, like, you'll learn how to game the system. So just off the top of my head, I don't know if this is what they're doing, but maybe they go in and they post, like, a picture and then archive it right away. So, like, Instagram's like, oh, you know, that doesn't appear, so nobody can flag it, right? And then they do that for, like, 1,000 different accounts, and then all of a sudden they turn them on, they unarchive all the pictures, and that account might last a week, might last a couple days until it gets reviewed. A lot of people, I think I kind of have like a slightly deeper understanding because like I work in that industry,
exactly.
right? A lot of people will look at that and they'll be like, "Oh, this is unquestionable proof that Instagram is biased," right? Good for an older boomer. That's a good friend of mine. She was talking about how all she sees on her Facebook or Instagram is liberal content, right? So obviously there's a bias towards that. And I'm like, there some reason the algorithm is tagging you, probably because you're engaging with it all, right? Because you click on it all, right? A couple months ago, obviously I'm very progressive. For some reason, the algorithm got a little hint and was like, maybe this guy will like some conservative content. And dude, all my Explore page was just like Biden memes, being an idiot.
Everybody's entitled to be an idiot.
AOC and all this shit. And it went down that rabbit hole. Luckily, I know what's going on that page, so I pretty much only go to that page and I'm like, I set a timer on my watch and I'm like, I'm just looking at this stuff to kind of see what's going on in the marketplace because that's my world, right? Either way, what I'm getting at is they have an impossible amount of content to moderate. All platforms, whether this is TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. I think they do the best that they can. And no matter what, at the end of the day, there will be 100 podcasts today that'll debate about if they went too far in one direction or they went too far in the other direction. And that is the only reason it's a story.
That makes sense. I mean, obviously, you know this way, way better than I do because you actually know.
Shit, I didn't even know
this is
I
your
knew
work.
what collaboration was,
Uh-huh.
but I needed the Sunny.
Well, maybe we need to collaborate more.
The Chavla Media.
Yeah, there you go.
Chavla Media taking all my Bodor photos.
Exactly.
Yeah, are we going to start posting those?
As soon as I start an
dude,
OnlyFans agency, damn right. But let's take a step away from what your work is basically, and
what's
kind of
next?
dive towards your vacation. I think you just came back from Pennsylvania.
Oh, my God.
And you said something about it being a terrible trip.
Yeah, man.
Let's hear it.
So I'm originally from Pennsylvania, as you know, and went up there to visit some family and stuff like that. And dude, it's just so... I'm from rural Pennsylvania, a small little farming town called Somerset. And around that area is just some beautiful nature. Like, I've hiked all over the world. My favorite trail in the world is at Laurel Hill State Park in, I think, Hidden Valley, Pennsylvania is where it's officially located, which is like 20 minutes from where I grew up. Absolutely gorgeous area, right? So got to get out in nature, got to take the dogs for a bunch of hiking and stuff like that. I absolutely love that. But there is a substantial decline in rural America's just attitude. And I actually that was one of my questions I wanted to ask is if you have seen that. Obviously, you haven't been to like rural America, you didn't grow up in rural America, but have you seen like a decline in like people just more rude now? Like growing up, man, I didn't like growing up right because it was a small town. There was no opportunities. As I've grown older, I've learned to appreciate it and whatnot. But the people were the best fucking people, dude. Like, maybe they had a short-term vision of what's possible and there wasn't a lot of hope. They were just good people, the type that give you the shirt off their back. Somebody has a flat tire, they pull over along the side of the road and help them out. Like, that's the people I grew up with, man, and I love those people. They're not that way anymore.
Yeah.
They're just everybody I was around was, fuck Biden. Biden owes me money for my gas. AOC needs to burn in hell. So many signs that I saw. Everybody was just grumpy. Went to a couple restaurants, went to a couple coffee shops and stuff, and everybody's just depressed. Have you noticed that there has been a decline?
Yeah. I was born and I grew up in a rural town.
Really?
Howell, Michigan.
Well, no. I thought you grew up in like Tampa or something.
No, what the fuck? That's just no.
Is that Aiden?
Yes, that's Aiden.
Oh shit.
we need to get him on the podcast.
We do. That'd be great.
But no, I was born and I grew up in Howell, Michigan. Which, if you ask, I've noticed this when I went up over the summer.
Like
if
Howell?
like Howell, like HOWELL.
Howell, Michigan.
Howell, Michigan.
Okay, all right. I did not know this, dude. Okay,
Yeah,
so tell me.
so it was a very rural town. Like, basically, if you ask or if you tell someone, they ask you like, "Hey, what part of Michigan are you from?" And I say, "Oh, I'm from Howell." They're like, "Oh, Howell." So yeah, it's one of those places. And when I moved down here, I lived in
When did you move?
2005.
So you were 4.
I was born and I grew up in Howell, Michigan. But still,
Wow.
I still visited.
Hey, Ryan, this guy, he definitely grew up
Hey,
in
man.
rural Michigan. Yeah.
But like these are people like I would see like my parents talk to my grandpa owned a motel, so I get to see all sorts of people that come in, and they were very nice people. I moved down to Fort Myers, Florida, and the school that I went to is called Riverdale High School, and that was in a rural area called Buckingham, Florida. And once again, just like kind of the same thing that you were talking about, people that would take the shirt off their back, give it to you, they'd pull on the side, that those kind of people. As the years passed, so when I let's say from freshman year of high school to senior year of high school, you could definitely see a change. There's just been a change of in attitude for pretty much everybody. You take a look at society, regardless of like the place, they're always going to say like, okay, we were good at this one point. Everyone was all together. They would make decisions for themselves. And now everything's just become left or right, up and down, things like that. And I don't know if it has to do with just the fact that rural people, you might have, like they might be a little bit more disconnected, or they're more biased to one source of media or something. Obviously, people will relay what they get fed in. And you see that all the time with extremists, hard lefts, hard rights, whatever. Some people are just they kind of go down that one route, and that's all they have now is just hatred and anger towards one person, and it elevates towards everybody. If I walk down the wrong street just because someone's a white supremacist, they're gonna see a brown guy, although they don't know that I listen to like country music and I'm pretty much whitewashed at this point. they're gonna straight up look at me and just be like, yo,
get out of my country.
Exactly. That actually happened to me when I was 15. I tell people this all the time. When I was 15, I was walking down a Winn-Dixie freezer aisle. And in Fort Myers, there's so many like World War II veterans and like old people that just retire there. And I was walking down. I had a little bit more of like a unordained beard compared to now. And I was walking down, and the guy tells his wife, he whispers and he goes, hey, watch out, the Allahu Akbar is coming. And I laugh about it now, it's funny to me, but at the same time, I was driving to Daytona, and there's a city literally 10 minutes north of where I live called Geneva, Florida. You've got Trump Town, USA, and all these other like billboards.
I'm from Trump Town.
Yeah, so yeah,
from Trumpville.
There you go. Okay, so you know about it. And I was filling up gas, right before I was headed over to my buddy's place in Daytona. It was like 9 p.m. and it's just myself, and there's this guy with this big F-250 filling up gas, and he's looking at me in a nasty way. And I'm just doing my thing and trying to fill up gas, and my card declines. Look, what the fuck's going on? And he walks towards the back of the truck, which is like so my car's right here, his truck is right here, and he walks towards the back of his truck and pulls out what looks to be the stock of a gun, like a wood stock of a gun. And I said, nah, bro, fuck that. Got in my car and drove off. So like there's things like that, like if no one's watching, no one was at the gas station except for me and him. So it's like people will have that one, like once they have that one perspective drilled in their head that okay, I'm white, anything that is not white is wrong, then that gets elevated into more and more like different versions. And putting it into perspective of what you were saying, I don't think that you just noticed it and it just happened like in your town. I think it's just happening everywhere. There's so much divide in this world, and everyone now sticks to their like own perspective, and things don't change after that. So it's really hard to kind of put in words, but everyone thinks on their own now, and it's now becoming a little bit more harmful.
What do you think caused that?
I mean, politics is, I think, the biggest thing. So many people here in America, they're either, like, I hear people that are like, I would live and die for this country, which obviously, like, patriots, you're like, they love America. Then you have people, like, the newer age, they're like, oh, I hate America. I would rather move somewhere else where I actually have rights and this and that. And I'm like, are you serious? You've got countries that would kill you for, like, being gay or for, like, doing other things that you think that are restricted here in America. And you have two sides of the story every single time. So, like, politics play a huge role. Culture plays a huge role. Like, some people are not open. They're very closed-minded. You try to have a conversation with someone that's closed-minded, they're not going to accept or even listen to anything you have to say.
Yeah.
They're just going to take their own thoughts in one ear, out the other with yours, and just walk off with their day. So you have a lot of people like that nowadays, and if you're a little bit more open-minded, then things might just start to become unified again. That's the way that I see it. And I'm all for like everyone, getting together and there being world peace and stuff like that. But if there's so many differing views in this world, it's going to be harder and harder to do that.
It's so strange for me because growing up, it was, especially my parents beat it into me that we're all equal. You're not better than anybody. Men aren't better than women. Women aren't better than men. Whites aren't better than blacks. Asians aren't. Like, everybody is absolutely equal. Mm-hmm. And that was mostly my parents, but it was also just like in the community, right? Like, we just were all good people. Everybody's a good person. Give everybody a chance. The color of their skin doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they have a big beard. Everybody's equal. And now it seems like those on the right, the more conservative rural areas, just, dude, like, it's just, if you aren't a white man, look out, dude. Or it's even, I think it's all politics, because it's not just what, like, if you were to drive my car in that town, like, they'd be
where'd
like,
you get that, boy? Like,
yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen it happen so many times.
Because if I'm driving around and I'm not in a truck up there, it's like, city boy, you don't understand what it's like.
Yeah,
that was not what it was like growing up. Like, there was still, like, a little bit of like, he's a city boy.
Yeah.
But now it's like you're coming, like, they feel like we're coming for, like, we're gonna attack rural America or something. Like, and they're just so, I don't know, man.
Another thing that I will say, and it kind of popped into my head, is what other people do to you. Like some people might take advantage of you. For example, I'm just gonna give kind of like a random example of like me and said girl who broke my heart. I'm not gonna talk to her anymore because of things that she did to me, and I'm not gonna, like, let's say a white girl breaks my heart. True story. White girl breaks my heart. I'm gonna stop going for white girls because they all have the same personality, or at least I think they do, and because of that, it just has kind of scarred me. And to every white girl that tries to talk to me, I'm gonna shoo them off. Nah, bro. Like,
do you actually do that?
Sometimes. It depends. You don't season your chicken, get the fuck away from me. But like, not actually, but I mean, like in putting this back into terms of what we were talking about.
Is that a qualifying question?
Maybe
Is that
not.
like your opening line? Hey, girl, do you season your chicken?
Yeah.
And if they say no, I eat it I just eat it with barbecue sauce.
I tell her, shut up, culture yourself. This is why I'm looking for a brown girl.
Wow.
And walk away.
Dude. Look at this racist motherfucker.
Nah, it's not actually like that. But putting it back into terms of what we were talking
It's
about.
like that.
No, it's not, I promise.
It's like that. That's
I promise.
exactly what he just described.
Nah. You cute white girls watching, I'm still looking out for you. But no, it's just like, if a certain party or a certain culture, a certain like demographic, we'll say, has done something to wrong my demographic, we're going to put our guard up. If someone comes into, let's say a Spanish guy walks into a white town and he gets a flat tire, and the people of the white town go in and help him change his tire, and the Spanish guy comes by like 5 days later and basically conquers that whole village and is like, all right, no, you guys help me, but like, fuck you. We see that you have resources and we see that you know how to do things, so we're going to make you work for us. After that whole like white village is not going to look at the Spanish people the same. They're going to be like, oh, you wronged us in the past. We're not going to give you any benefit of the doubt. So putting this in the same perspective now, if the wrong demographic,
somebody conquered your city.
Not necessarily. No, like the
village did have resources.
Yeah, like the way that I'm like looking at it basically is if a demographic fucks with you and not in the right way, then the rest of your own people are going to look at them the wrong way. That's the way it's always worked with Indian culture, and that's the way that I haven't really grown up like that, but I've seen it growing up. And that's why I think people now are very partial to the way they view people nowadays. So putting it into your town in Pennsylvania, they might look at the city boys and be like, oh, like they're just trying to like take our land and build buildings and stuff like that. like
The way you described that was funny.
I'm just saying, like that's the way that I look at it, and that's really the only way I can describe it. If they say, okay, they want to take our land and take everything we own and just build like their own modern shit in front of it, obviously they're gonna be very, very like rude and partial towards that demographic. That's just the way I see it.
So are you completely against all white girls because this one white girl broke your heart?
I'm taking a break.
Because like your dating pool is going to get really small. Why is it the white girl? Why isn't it just, is she blonde? Why isn't it just blonde girls? Why did you choose this color of her skin?
Because I've talked to different white girls and they've all been the same. They've all had bland personality, and this is just a small sample size.
Or because you got your heart broken, did you change the way that you interact with white girls so that now when you interact with them, they all feel the same way because of the way you're interacting with them?
It could be. You just have to find out. So if you want to put your shoes into a white girl, I mean, we could role play. We could do something. So yeah, Hydro Boys podcast might get a little wet, but I digress.
How's your drink, by the way?
Yeah. Oh, it's actually pretty good. Like I said, I mean, I'm just imagining this is just some Bud Light. And
you really don't like these?
No, I actually don't. I do like it. I don't mind it, but this wouldn't be my first drink of choice.
What is your first drink of choice?
Regular water.
That's the ultimate adult.
That's not bubbly. Like I don't think I told you. I made a pact to myself about a week ago saying I'm going to like cut out sodas. I used to have like 1 or 2 sodas a day. Yeah. Cut it all out.
Good.
Food, no more fast food. And it's simply either home cooked meals or like proper food. Yeah, Chipotle or Chick-fil-A are really the only 2 like restaurants I go to, and then everything else is just a basic cleanse. Pay more attention to school, put my time and effort into something that's a little.
Do you meditate?
I do.
How often?
Almost every morning, pretty much.
How
every
long?
morning, try to every night, just as long as I can just sit peaceful for. I pray. I thank God for breathing, for the smaller things in life, and then as soon as my concentration breaks, that's when I'm like, all right, time to move on. Go take a shit. So that's
thanks God, I gotta be right back.
That's my morning routine.
That's good.
So
man.
it's I definitely like I've noticed in the past few years, I'm definitely not entitled, and it's not just me saying that, but like there's been times where I have thought that, hey, I've had a lot more fortunate things happen to me than other people, and I need to be thankful for that. I need to make sure that I am taking these and not for granted. The next day someone, like a family member, tells me, oh, like my family friend lost their son in a car crash.
Yeah.
And it just makes you think twice. Like every time I open the car door and turn on the car, I'm putting my life at risk. And I don't think like that every little time because, that's going to prevent me from making smaller and smaller decisions. But just be thankful for what you have.
Absolutely, man. That's a much better. You'll be much happier.
I agree. I've actually seen a very big increase on just me being happy. I've been in the gutters recently just because of school. Like as soon as I moved back from Michigan to Florida, I've had no break. My mental capacity's just gone like that. My dad would make me do like stuff for him at the office. I'm his IT technician. I have to say it in that accent. I'm his IT technician for his office, and he's been having trouble with like the computers. So I've had to go almost like every few days and fix that. Then I've got school. Engineering school is not easy at all. And then on top of that, I'm just doing my own thing, photography, stuff like that. So trying to balance all that stuff has just worn me out. And after I've taken every little thing and just dissected it and been like, okay, I need to take this one step at a time and be happy about it. Things have started to look up from there.
That's good, man.
Okay, taking notes from you. So
your gratitude is the fastest way to happiness. Absolutely believe that.
I agree.
So what else, man? What we got?
So one thing I was actually gonna talk about with you, and this is just something that hit my head a couple days ago. I was like, it'd be cool to talk to you about unpopular opinions. Not something that could go radically wrong, where you're wrong and I'm right, but something where it's just we can just have a conversation about it and not have to bring politics or not have to bring anything that like might stir a whole different pot.
We don't want to get
in the
canceled
story.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I love you, Elon.
Love you too.
So there's a couple topics that I have, and I think there's a couple topics you picked as
Yep,
well.
yep.
But we basically picked this out from the subreddit Unpopular Opinions.
Yeah.
So the first one that I have is judge, and this actually goes in line with what we were just talking about. Judging someone for what they have in life is just plain stupid. So my take on it is, I agree with that take. You have your own money, you make your own money, you do whatever the fuck you want. You go to a restaurant and you order chicken and someone 3 tables down orders fish. Are you going to go up and like clown them and be like, you fucker, you're eating fish? What the hell? Like, you're not going to go out and do that. You're just going to be like, all right, they're eating fish, you know, not my taste. I'm sticking with my chicken.
Yeah.
Same thing here. You know, both person A and person B have $25,000. Person A goes and buys a 1988 BMW. Person B goes and buys a Rolex. Like, who are they to fight with each other? Oh, you have a shitbox like car, and then like you spent all your money on a watch.
Who's spending $25,000 on 98? Or wait, an 88 or 98?
88. You'd be surprised.
Who? What?
Like restored. Everyone restores their cars, and cars are now becoming like an asset now. Like what you could have bought for like $8,000 during the pandemic.
This is not investment advice, but don't buy cars as an asset
unless it's like the fastest car in the world. Don't do that.
Yeah,
either
even
way.
that's a really bad idea.
Well, you'll be surprised.
So who's thinking they're asset classes?
I don't know. It's just what I see on the internet, man. I see person A bought their car for $30,000 and it's now become a collector item because companies are not making V8s or V10s anymore. So they're like, oh, people want that. I'm gonna buy this $30,000 car for $80,000.
That was a very temporary thing.
It's gonna keep fluctuating. I mean, the car market's never stable. You're
Absolutely. But
now.
we had over the past like 2 years, post pandemic and everything, we had, you know, I know multiple people who bought like my A5, dude. I bought that for I think 39, put 15,000 miles on it or something. 2 years later, sold it for 38. That's bonkers. Like, that's stupid. I know people who bought a neighbor of mine bought a Mach-E. I don't know the numbers. Maybe bought it for 60 and turned around and sold it for like 75.
Yeah.
You know, my brother's always telling me people who bought was it Rivian?
Yep, the Rivians.
Yeah. People who buy those for 70, 80 and then sell them for $120.
Yeah. It's like
the market's broken.
It's all on supply and demand. I mean, I think we talked about this last podcast or something.
I think that was episode 196.
Episode 1. There you go.
Yeah.
So when you have something that other people want, and this goes in line here, people will do everything they can to get their hands on it. Whether it's money, whether it's a blowjob under the table, doesn't matter. Like, either way, like, people are going to get they're going to try to get what they want at any price. So people that see, okay, BMW stopped making this car, which is the most perfect track car that you can ever imagine, and it sold for $16,000. My grandpa drove one and sold it for $5,000, and now I'm gonna go and buy this thing for $150,000. To me, it's whack. I'm never gonna do that. But if I want it really bad, then I'm gonna have to pay the
5 years
price.
from now, Sonny's gonna do that.
No.
He'll buy the used car for $30,000.
Shit.
So go back to the Rolex.
So yeah,
I don't get what's the. So for me, that's not an unpopular. I don't really care if somebody does that.
There's people that will judge very.
Oh, I know
hard.
people who judge extremely hard. You know, people look at like my Tesla and think I've had people laugh at me over that or whatever. I've had people very close to me who bitched me out, got extremely angry because I didn't buy a nicer car. This is like 2 years ago, and have a big car payment. They were like, why would you do that? Why would you drive around in that when you can afford something much nicer? And then those are just stupid examples. But yeah, I mean, I know people who do that. I can't even relate to that at all. This goes back to like my upbringing where like you just don't judge people. But I do know a lot of people who who judge based on what you wear and whatnot, and is just absolutely stupid. So for me, that's not an unpopular. It's a very popular opinion, and I appreciate that.
I agree with it. I think that you like I said, people have their own money, their own lives, their own reasoning to buy things. By all means, go and do it. 10 years later, if you're in debt, that's not my problem. But at the same time, I mean, what can I say? So that makes sense. Next one.
Wait, I don't get to do one?
If you want, we can do
Wow.
one and one.
I mean,
My
it's
bad.
just- I guess
Go
it's-
ahead. My bad.
I had 4. Did I send you this list?
I have them. Yep.
I'm going to go with the one I think you're going to like the most.
Uh-huh.
Automakers should stop replacing buttons with massive touchscreens.
I agree. If you know me, I mean, what did I tell you in the hot tub? That not what you think I said. That I want a
Clothes were
2010.
on.
Yeah, definitely. I want a 2010 car. I love the older cars, and what
You
do
love
they
the
have?
buttons.
They don't have a massive touchscreen.
Yeah.
They have buttons. What happens if your car gets short circuited and you can't turn it on or turn it off anymore? Well, you don't have a button. Like, from turnkey to push start, that was a great invention. But from now push start to pressing the brake pedal to turn on your car, how the fuck do I not know that my car is gonna like turn on? And that's because of the whole like screen thing in your Tesla, for example. Like, you don't have affirmation that it might be on or it might not work or something like that. So that's why I don't like the whole tablet thing. Plus, it's a big distraction when driving.
Well, I think you might be getting distracted. I think it makes driving better.
I enjoy driving my cars, whether it's with my hands or my knee, and I like pressing buttons because I know something's on when it's on. I know something's not.
I
on
do
when it's
miss. So I grew up with the Nokia brick phones, right? I used to be able to be driving down the road, and I could write a whole book of a text message and never look at the screen. Driving, looking at the road, completely texted because I had the entire thing muscle memory, right? Same thing with your car. You could be driving down the road and click a button, and you just knew where the button was. You knew what it felt like, everything. You knew where it was, all that good stuff. I think, that is certainly a lot of magic has been lost with that. At the same time, we're definitely in that transition period. And a lot of things, like the look at the car, like my Tesla, like the wipers. I know you can do like the temporary with the left stick, but if you want to actually turn your wipers on, you got to click and then you got to do this. That's dangerous. I think we're in that like in between. They're actually, you just put it on the auto setting and you're good.
Yeah.
You never have to worry about that. So I think it's just people transitioning. Overall, I do think it's safer, it's better. It's just change that you don't like because you're getting old.
I'm getting old. I should be liking the tablets. I'm not a tablet baby.
People, as they get older, become more conservative and they don't like change because things continue to change faster and faster as we get older. That process is going to continue to change or continue with the going into the future. But so yeah, I'm not bothered.
If I was brought up in the 90s, which I wasn't, I mean, even still, 01. If I was brought up during the time where cars were being produced when I was born, I would definitely say, yeah, I love this change from 2010 to 2020. This is the peak of automobiles because you're getting good technology, you're getting Bluetooth, you're getting all this stuff, and at the expense of old technology like a dial for your AC. And then now you're moving up to a tablet where everything is automated, everything is automatic. And for me, as an engineer, I love being hands-on. I love being able to control every little thing. So
let's back up. You're redesigning the car from scratch.
Yeah.
Okay. The objective of the car is to go forward or backwards. Okay. And you have a steering wheel. So the ultimate vehicle, or actually the objective of a vehicle, is to take you from point A to point B. The ultimate vehicle is you get in and it does it for you. Maybe you have to tell it, take me to Chipotle, take me to RDV Ice Den. But it just does it for you. It opens the garage door for you. It pulls the car out. It adjusts the temperature. Maybe you have to tell it about the temperature. You don't touch it, and it just takes you there. That's the ultimate vehicle. I think in 50 years, that's what we will be doing.
Probably, yeah.
I think it was Mercedes, and it might be Lexus that just came out with one that it's a concept that doesn't have a wheel. You don't drive it. It drives itself. The regulations are going to have to adapt to that, obviously. But that's the ultimate vision of a vehicle. Getting to there, you don't go from the Model T to a car that drives itself. There is a transition period. So like the Tesla, a lot of what you're supposed to do is talk to it. You're supposed to say, adjust the temperature to this, adjust the fan speed. You can say, my balls is cold, and it turns on the heated seat. Well, I love that.
Yeah.
There's all these things. The objective right now is the car will mostly drive itself, and you speak to it. But the voice technology is nowhere near where it needs to be. Like, I look at my house has Alexa. Dude, I don't know how to turn on a lot of my lights in my house. I just talk to Alexa. That was like earth-shattering 5 years ago, okay? But now it's like that is a much better way to do it. My lights are all automated. You program it one time, you talk to it, and it's good to go. The cars are going to get there. So I just think we're in that transition period.
I'm going to flip the table on you real quick. Have you ever watched the movie WALL-E?
Yeah.
So do you see what happens?
WALL-E.
Yeah. Have you seen what happens to the people when they have robots do everything they want to them, like how they depict them?
Yeah.
They're like lazy pieces of shit that are just floating on the sea, like on a different planet or on a different spaceship to a different planet.
Yeah.
That's how I imagine life is going to be. And I'm not saying exactly word for word, but people are not going to want to do as much as they do now. My dad tells me all the fucking time. He's like, like back when I was your age, I would be doing all this myself, and now you just like use your smartphone, or you just you're just lazy. So like, to me, I've always been brought up with the fact that doing things manually, having things in your control, is something good. Now, another thing that I was gonna say about cars, you know me, I'm a car guy. I love like if I have the opportunity to like drive a stick shift car, rowing through the gears.
I don't know how to drive a stick.
And of course you don't. You're relying on your fucking tablet to go drive, reverse, all that shit. But it's a fun experience, and I definitely would encourage you to try it out. But you just feel more engaged with driving yourself. If you have a hockey stick that shoots on its own, you're not engaged. Like, let's say you select buttons on your hockey stick: slap shot, wrist shot, snap shot, or deke, and you hit slap shot or something. You're not in touch with the game. You're just pressing buttons to make it, to do it. It's doing it for you, right? That's what a hockey stick is for, to shoot the puck.
It's doing it all for you.
Yeah, but you don't want that. You want to actually play. You want to actually flex the stick. And I don't know if you flex the stick, if you just shoot wide left every time, but
mostly high.
Exactly. There you go.
That's my MO.
So maybe you should look into actually being one with the stick. So the same way here, I'm one with the car.
Full stock stick. Full stock stick,
Shout out,
That's what
Tony.
you need.
Shout out. He would be a great podcast
He
guest.
would be amazing.
Just sit there for 2 hours and
I
tell
think
you
he would say
stories.
some just absolutely offensive shit, and I would love
I would be here for it. so we gotta get all four of us, me, you, Aiden, and Tony, all on the same podcast.
Yeah.
I think that would be good. But yeah, going back to the point, an ideal car for you might be something that takes you from point A to point B with minimal effort. Something I enjoy is me actually using work to get to point B.
Yeah.
So that's the way that I see it. I'm all for technology advancing and stuff. I don't want any buttons on I don't want a Nokia. I want my iPhone. I'm happy with it. But at the end of the day, I think being in control with even the smallest of like buttons instead of a tablet, where it's possible, it's definitely worth it.
Wow. You're gonna vote for DeSantis. You're becoming conservative, hate change, all of that.
Who, me?
Yeah.
We'll see.
So like we talked about this in episode 152, I think, where a lot of change. If you go back to 100 years ago, you had horses, right? People probably said the same shit. Like, why would you want a vehicle? What happens if you run out of gas? You have to go get this. The horse, it just eats the grass that's right there. Like, you're good, and it'll run forever. You just need to give it gas and water. Or grass. Grass and water. Wait, what do horses eat? They eat grass, right?
Grass, hay.
See, we don't know.
Hay.
Okay, so they're
Apples?
walking
I don't
around.
fucking know.
They're walking around. What, they get
You're
hay
from rural
everywhere?
Pennsylvania. You should know.
I've never been on a horse.
Oh my
I don't think so. I don't
Yeah,
think
you've been on a Tesla though.
Yeah, I
city
have.
boy.
But I just see now there's going to be bumper stickers someday that say like
100%.
"Fuck Dylan." He lives in his mommy's.
I'm gonna advocate for that. I'm
He lives in
gonna be
his
the one
mommy's
making those on
basement.
Redbubble.
But if you go back, people hated that change, right? Like, there's no way vehicles aren't going to catch on the internal combustion engine. You have to have gas, right? The horse is so much more reliable. Anytime you have these technological innovations, that you're going to have people who push back on it. So, I kind of, the changes are going to come, right? Change is always going to be happening. So it's better to just embrace it. I don't know how to turn the lights off, and I'd have to go search for all the buttons.
You're going to go search around your whole house just to turn off like the patio light.
But how often do I ever have to do that, right? Now I just talk to it, and that is so much more convenient. Am I a libtard because I don't know where all my light switches are? I mean, I don't think so. I don't think that somebody who knows where all their light switches are.
If something goes wrong in your house and you don't know where the light switch is that caused that shortage,
right?
What are you going to tell the electrician?
If the electricity goes out, why don't you have candles like they used to have?
Well, yeah, but
exactly. That was an innovation. And we went from
you're
candles.
Not going to be thinking of candles when that light switch caused a fire.
Okay, yeah, you're absolutely right. But when the electricity goes out, like we just had hurricane, the electricity goes out, you're going to be wondering, man, I wish I had those candles, the candle lights like they used to have.
I have candles.
I have candles too,
Good.
Sonny.
Good.
The point is that was an innovation, and people were like, "Oh my god!" It's just like directions. I don't really know how to get around a lot of like Orlando without Google Maps. Okay, used to be you'd have an actual physical map. Well, I did back in the day. And that's just the way it was. Now you just rely on Google Maps. Well, what happens if Google Maps is down? Well, you're inconvenienced. Yeah. Just be like, if your car breaks down, your horse didn't break down, you're inconvenienced.
Of course.
So I don't think that...
I'm going to give you one more perspective on this, and then we can move on to the next one. Just because this is something that's been kind of itching under my skin.
Where's my list? Okay,
That's there. Race car. Race cars are supposed to be light. They strip everything out of a regular car to just make it as it is. If you have, let's say you buy a nice Porsche, and you have all these buttons, you have this tablet and all that stuff. That's what's in the regular car. You look at the race car, everything is just like ripped out, taken out. If people want to use that car that has a big tablet in it as a race car, they're slightly inconvenienced about having a tablet in there.
Let's hold back all progress in the world because people who make
how about this? How about we reach a mutual decision, since none of us actually build cars, and we say that you have an option of getting a touch screen, or you could have buttons or just a plain stock.
Maybe you should petition GM for that.
I mean, they are doing that, but that's why I want to go in the performance division. You hear that, Stu? That's one for you.
Hey, Elon, I will take my touchscreen. It's pretty nice. I like it.
Too. Like, that'd be cool. Sure.
Touch yourself.
That.
Next, unpopular opinion. And this one's a little bit lighter on the debate. When people get married, whoever's last name sounds cooler is the one that gets kept. Like, imagine, like, I don't know, you have like a really cool last name that sounds really cool. Something that's not Ogline. Maybe Chavla.
Chavla. Okay.
Yeah, that's a pretty sick name.
Yeah.
And you've got another person whose last name is like
Smith.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Smith. And let's say the girls. All right, we'll just use
the girls Chavla.
Yeah, girls Chavla.
My name's Smith.
Yep.
That's a personal decision, man.
Yeah,
there's no laws that say that you have to take the man's last name.
It's commonplace for people to take like the man's last name.
Yeah,
and like I'm all for expanding the Chavla family. You know, like if my wife, future wife, has a super long Indian last name like they tend to have, I'm not gonna give that up I'm not gonna give my last name up for that.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, my best friend, when him and his wife got married, his wife kept. I don't think she took any part of his last name. I think she just kept her, or she maybe used it as like a last name with a hyphen.
Gotcha.
They do that sometimes. That's a personal choice, man. I'm not bothered by it. Me, that's like a line. I don't want to say it's a line in the sand, but like no, like I want my wife to have my last name. Not like a sexist thing. It's more like I take the
I built a brand around my last name.
Well, there is that too. I mean, this is the company name. What do you want me to do, baby? No, I view like that's the best thing that a man has to offer. It's like please marry me.
Yeah.
And like, wow, that was a really bad like ape voice.
terrible.
Yes. But yeah, like that's all men have to offer is their last name. Yeah, a lot of feminists will take it as it's suppressing women in some form. I take the viewpoint that women are far superior to men. The whole idea that we're equal is absolute. The idea that men and women are equal is absolute nonsense. Women are far, far superior than us. So it's like this one thing that we can offer. Like, I'm a bumbling idiot, but I have a name.
There you go.
So please marry me.
That's
yeah.
it.
So I think it's yeah. For me, I would definitely want my wife to take my last name.
That's a simple.
What about you?
Same here. I mean, not because I built a platform off of it, but I don't know. It's just like I feel like I've already become one with my last name. I wouldn't want any other name to it.
What about them? Take their viewpoint.
Sucks for them.
Oh,
I'm kidding. Nah. I mean,
Someday, like right before your wedding, I'm gonna play that clip right there.
Sucks for them. That's sorry. I'll already have them brainwashed. I feel like.
Shit. Wow, this whole section is going to your future bride. Know what you're getting into.
No, I do. No, it's for me. I mean, if they bring up the idea, I mean, I won't be against it. But if they want to keep their last name, yeah, by all means, as long as you have that ring on your finger. Okay. But for me, I wouldn't change my last name. I would just keep it. It's my full name, Sunesh Chawla. I don't have a middle name either, so that's always been like one phrase to me. It's just my full name, 2 words. That's it. Gotcha. So for me to change that, like I've taken like potential girls that I would marry and just kind of put my last name next to them. I'm like, ugh, that doesn't have a good ring to it. Or, oh, that sounds like a really good ring. Wow. But, like, sometimes I've kind of thought about that, but I'm just like, all right, dude, like, I need to chill.
So you'll be out at the date with Beth. And like, Beth Chawla. No, that doesn't work. That's really the line in the sand for you?
Yeah.
Wow, I don't even.
not actually, but like eventually you get used to it. You're like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. Like, for example, like.
Listen, our names are compatible, so we have to get married at this point.
It's like astrology, but different. Fucking Chawla rising.
Do you do the astrology shit?
No.
Yeah.
There was some girl. I was in the line to get some food at UCF, and there was some girl who said, it was raining yesterday and he wanted to hang out. He's such a Scorpio. Like, what the fuck does that? What does that mean?
I don't know what that means either.
And I posted that on my story on Snapchat, and some girl actually swiped up and was supporting it. And I was like, no fucking way. Like, they actually believe this. That, like, and she was like, yeah, my boyfriend's a Scorpio, and like, he wants to hang out when it's raining outside. What kind of fucking relevance does that have? It doesn't make any sense to me.
I never.
Like, believe what you want to believe. I'm not gonna like get down on it, but at least believe in something that makes sense. Like, the LaCroix can is yellow. That's why I'm such a Sagittarius. Or your bottle has Oakline Digital. I'm such an Aquarium. Well, it doesn't fucking make sense, bro.
Yeah, I don't understand any of that.
That to me doesn't make any sense, and that's why like. I don't believe really in.
So I do think that is an unpopular opinion. The name but yeah, man, to each his own. If you want to take your wife's last name because it's cooler,
so
go for it.
I'm
all for that. I think a lot of people would get offended by that though.
Yeah.
So it is unpopular.
I'm just like, I think in opinions like this one where you would say like, oh, society or other people are gonna think like lower of you. I've adopted this mentality recently of just fuck what everyone else thinks. Just do what you want to do. Absolutely. And it makes a lot of these opinions a lot easier. If you ask like 4th grade Sonny, who is heavily favored by what his dad thought of him and like whether he was like known by if he gets straight A's or not, like I would definitely be like, oh no, like whatever's acceptable by society, that should be what it is. But like now that, you know, obviously I have my own mind to think, and I'm just like, bro, I've done shit that's questionable to other people. They would be like, well, why would you spend money on that? Or why would you do this? Why would you do that? Like, bro, fuck you. Let me do what I want. And that's it. Let me get buttons in my car. Fuck your touch screen.
The touch screen is superior.
No.
Yes, it is. News should be a dry investigation of facts. If it isn't, Wow, I'm really fucking this section up. If it isn't, then it's an opinion intended to stir your emotions into clouding your judgment.
Yeah, that's a lot of words that you picked out from your Merriam-Webster dictionary today.
I didn't write this.
So I think that news should be just a recitation of facts. Like, you take a look at...
Tucker Carlson?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I mean, you take a look at that. You take a look at other news outlets. Every, like, news outlet has its own bias.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's hardly things these days that don't have bias. Everyone affiliates CNN with liberals. Everyone affiliates Fox with Republicans. And you just have this whole shit show of like, oh, they're saying fake news. They're saying fake news.
Mm-hmm.
How about you just say the facts? Include numbers. Include things that have already been stated before that are actually realistic and tend to the topic. I think that would make the world a lot of a better place. Let people do their own speculation if they want. But as long as you're doing your own thing to just get the point across, that's what matters. The problem is ratings, money, all this other stuff that makes these companies want to skew the story just a little bit. I'm going to tell you a story about how I got to school, but I want to make you laugh, so I'm just going to make a few hinges and say I rode a magic carpet to school. And you're going to laugh about it. But that doesn't make it true, does it?
No.
So there you go. Same thing with the news. I think that like I've been saying this because other people have asked, like, what side are you on? What news channel do you watch? Who the fuck cares? I get my facts. I wake up in the morning and I'll read some stuff on my phone about like.
Where do you read?
Where do I read?
Yeah.
The news app that comes on the iPhone, and occasionally Instagram, Twitter, and Motor Trend.
That was one of the other topics that I wanted to ask about. Is where do you get your news from?
Most of it is all just like news on iPhone or like what is it, Apple News, other like big verified accounts, I guess, that have already had all these things reported from other like news outlets. They post it to make it a bigger scene. That's where when things become common knowledge, that's where I start to get to know about it. Unless it's something that I'm very, very like speculative about or something that I really am interested in, I won't go out of my way to go find news. If it shows up on my phone, great. If not, ignorance is bliss. Like, I might not care about what's happening to the Kentucky debate or like the whole polls, votes, and all that stuff. Like, I don't care. But if something huge comes up where someone hacked into it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's it. So for me, I don't really go into depth unless it's something that I really want to know. Hence, Motor Trend.
Most college-age kids like yourself, where do you think most of them are getting their information?
Instagram, Twitter, social media, I should say. A lot of them, like I said, they've been proven wrong. Like, they have like different. They say the more popular perspectives when a more realistic and actual perspective was made. College kids love this to make their own stories up and to twist the ball as much as they want to. And when they start posting that on their stories and stuff, other people kind of hop on the bandwagon. They're like, oh, no, this is wrong. This is wrong. And then you got the people that actually know the facts because they've done research and they're like, said person never said this. Like, what are you talking about? So it's stuff like that that I see college kids do. They just kind of see it and they're like, oh, this is it. There's meme accounts that like make memes all the time about, like, they'll edit the Twitter text and it'll say like Elon Musk said this, and people will actually believe it and they'll post it on their story. And other people are like, oh my gosh, he said this. How about you check the source? How about you go to Twitter, go to Elon Musk's Twitter and see, did he say this? No, he did not. So it's like it's just that taking that extra step to verify if things are right. If I see something very controversial on someone's story, I'm gonna go to like the root source and see, did they say this?
So I think what you're describing is very, like, most people don't have the time to do that, right?
Yeah,
most
agree.
people don't have the time, or people are just too lazy, right? You know, you go back to when I was born, right? People are naturally, it's not that people are more lazy today. People are naturally going to take the easy route. That's human nature, right? Just like it's easier to have a touchscreen in your car.
You will let that go.
Of course not. It's far superior. With, you go back to when I was born, people would come home from work, they would turn on their local news, and they would get their news.
Mm-hmm.
And they would trust it because those sources couldn't be, you couldn't turn on Channel 6 News is the big thing where I grew up, right? You couldn't turn on Channel 6 and they couldn't show a segment saying Elon Musk says, I don't know, I like to eat babies for dinner. Because, journalistic standards and, everybody would get fired if they did that,
Yeah.
right? So there was, by all means, no matter what, there's going to be a certain amount of bias. Even at the best of times in our history, the best newspapers, the best, cable news people,
Network.
whatever, there's always going to be a certain amount of bias. And that's just human nature. But overall, they kind of were controlled because they couldn't lie because people would call them out on it, right? But you have people, and it's not just college students, dude. I know a lot of 40-year-old adults,
everybody.
50-year-olds who get their news from Instagram, get their news from Facebook. They see a post, and they just consider it to be fact.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think we fix that?
That's like trying to say how do you fix world, or how do you get world peace? You're gonna have so many different outlets, so many people are entitled to what they want to say, and just like how we were explaining earlier in the episode, you can post whatever you want as long as it's not too vulgar and get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes down to how our agency's gonna get fact checked. Just going on Instagram and putting that fact checker plug in and saying this is wrong or this doesn't provide context, it's not going to do anything. But I think the bigger companies that control most of the news, the common ones, CBS, NBC, Fox, CNN,
Mm-hmm.
all of them, they can at least do their part by showing where they got, basically taking it back to 7th grade. Cite your sources. Where did you get this from? Did you just make this shit up on the spot, or is it something that might have been actually relayed first person? Show, you see all the time, they show little clips while they're talking on Channel 6 News where they'll talk about Senator Marco Rubio or something like that, and then all of a sudden it'll show a blank video a video of him, but that's muted. You don't know what he's saying in that,
Mm-hmm.
but you have the power to voice it over. He could be saying, I eat babies for dinner for all I know, but actually showing the source and what he was saying, that might help a little bit more because you're seeing it firsthand.
Problem. It's ratings.
Mm-hmm.
Why does Tucker do so good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because he gets up there and he gives his opinion. People want to hear opinions. They
Yeah.
don't want to hear, unemployment is down this month. They want to hear, Biden sending all these illegal immigrants to come take your jobs and,
Well, then don't call it news. Call it my opinion.
Are you
Solved.
Are you gonna regulate that?
I'm not. Because
Do you think it should be regulated?
I think it should be regulated.
So you want to regulate the news?
In a way that it's actually factual, yes. I'm not going to sit up here and advocate for opinions that are seem to be true, because then you see what happens. More divide happens. You see people picking sides
Mm-hmm.
over a situation that should be blatantly one-sided, and it's all because people are giving other opinions. People are allowed to voice their opinions,
Of course.
but if I come up here on this podium and I say, I work for CNN and I'm going to say that the election was rigged, someone takes a clip of that and posts it online, and they can't identify me, and I pretend I'm Sanjay Gupta, then that's it. It's game over. I've already said that, and CNN just starts getting flamed for it. That's a lie. I didn't show my sources. I didn't show that I'm not Sanjay Gupta, but the ball rolls more and more.
Yeah.
So obviously when you try to patch one thing, another leak comes out, and it's hard to regulate it. But I would definitely say it should be. Something should be said to where you give the facts and then you blatantly show this is our opinion or this is what we think. Not by saying it on the on
Then
air.
people would just say
something.
you'd have Fox News or
Mm-hmm.
CNN. Everything is this is our opinion. They would have a little disclaimer at the bottom. This is our opinion.
Good. And that's the way it
Do you
should
think
be.
that's going to change anything?
If people don't read hard enough, probably not. How many times do you go through your professor's work and all the directions and stuff? You see those typos. I don't know if you've ever looked, but at the bottom it should say copyright your professor's name 2013.
Yeah.
Because they don't change anything. And you never see that. So you're like, oh, I don't give a fuck. He's just stupid.
Yeah.
So, like, going back to this, I personally don't think that opinion should be stated as the news. There's, like, Instagram accounts that are, like, that literally say, like, the real news or something like that. And they just, all they do is post slides about actual factual things that have happened. 13 die in this bombing, or the stock market is up 12%, or so, little inklings like that actually give you the news and not just an opinion of it, is what I think should be, like, regulatory.
Yeah. Like, the memes are a big problem because as people scroll through their Instagram and their Facebooks and their TikToks or whatever, they see stuff. And, you know, like you said, it's happened to me, it's happened to Elon, anybody, where people will take your Twitter and add a fake quote, and it's like, I never said that. It actually comes back, like, it's a much bigger problem than that. There are major publications that have articles about me with quotes from me that I never said.
Then why don't you contact them and tell them, when did I say this?
Because there's no such thing as bad PR.
Fair enough.
I mean, really, like, it's one of, I won't go beyond that, but it's one of the most major news publications that has covered me, and it's just not a quote by me. Like, I never said those words. I don't necessarily disagree with it. So, but what are you going to do? Like, it's just the world we live in.
Yeah.
But going back to the bigger picture, I think this is one of the challenges. This is like climate change level of a challenge, dude. This is one of the challenges of our time. Not just the United States, but worldwide. You can literally, like, if you watch OAN, which is just the most right wing that I know, or watch InfoWars, you live in a completely different version of reality than somebody who watches CNN. Like, you're gone. Everything is bad. Democrats have never done anything good. The world sucks. You know, all immigrants are bad. All brown people are bad. Now they're getting on the Jews. Like, it's fucking bad. And then over here, it's a completely different version of reality. Okay? That is a big, big problem. And that is the reason for the division in this country. If you look back, if you like look at history, right? If you look at the Civil War as an example, back then everybody got their news from the newspaper. That was it, right? But this is about the time where, like, newspapers started to become really cheap, and you could be, you know, it's relatively small towns, which everything was small towns back then. You could have a relatively small town, and you could easily print two versions of the newspaper. You could have one publication that was conservative, which was the Democrats at the time, and then you would have the more liberal, at the time, all it was slavery, right? So you had the slavery version, which was the Democrats, and then you had the anti-slavery Whig Party, was actually what they called, and then eventually they became the Republican Party. They lived in different versions of reality, dude. And they could afford to do that because the Democrats, the pro-slavery, they wanted to hear that version of reality. They weren't going to buy the other version of the newspaper. And literally, dude, like, it was bad back then. Like, they would call for violence. Like, imagine if you picked up the Orlando Sentinel and they were like, you know, Republican senator got beat, and they were like, "This is awesome." Like, you would be shocked, right? That happened back then, dude. Like, there were times where Democrats, or it's confusing because they switched sides. Republican or Whig Party members would get beaten, you know, for their anti-slavery opinions, and the pro-slavery newspapers would just, like, fucking eat that up, and they loved it.
But people knew exactly that if they read this newspaper,
but they didn't.
They didn't. Oh, okay.
Because you got to keep in mind, like, that's the news. Okay, that's your version or vision into the world, right? So if all you're fed, and this happened back then, the anti-slavery newspapers and they would all do the same thing. The pro-slavery one would be like, if you read that, that's fake news. They didn't use the term fake news. I'm sure it happened a couple times, but that wasn't a big thing back then. But
Malarkey.
they would, that's all fake stuff over there. That's not actually what's happening. This is what's actually happening. It was the exact same thing back then. So you lived in this different version of the world. And of course, after the Civil War, and everything, this is history with Dylan and
Ahmed.
Then after the Civil War, you had more radio and whatnot, which was more expensive. So they couldn't afford to appeal to just such a specific. And then, obviously World War II happened and stuff like that. But if you go back, like the same shit that was happening then is happening now. And like I said, I think that is the challenge of our time. I have heard nobody come up with a decent solution for it.
I mean, because if you come up with a possible solution, like for example, let's regulate the news, you have 10 other loopholes that need to be like tended to in order to fix that. And like what you were talking about, how people have their own views of things. Congratulations, you've now answered why like the people from your town are more like in that depressive state. Why are they always rude to you? Because they are living their own reality. You live in your own reality, and then that's just how the ball rolls. Everyone will live in their own reality. Like, I'll take it from a college kid. I don't want to look at my grades because they might be absolute shit. So I'm just gonna live in my reality that I'm doing fine. We're good. If I'm broke as hell and I just keep swiping my credit card, I'm not gonna like
face the world.
Exactly. I'm not gonna
reality.
face things that might bring my high down because it helps me live. It helps me stay stable.
As a young college student, do you worry about that division in our country?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, these are the people that I see that are activists towards a certain party or a certain side. Even looking up at the news and getting fed news that might not be real or that might be real or might be stretched. These are people that I'm directly in contact with, or I would be directly in contact with. I might work with them. They might be my uppers. They might be my lowers. They might be people that give me a life and death decision or something that might hinder me living. Anything that happens in this world, it's going to come to an effect with me at some point in life. So if someone's feeding wrong news or someone is living their own reality and that puts me at jeopardy, I'm not for that. So I'm definitely concerned. Very.
It's a challenge of our time, man.
I agree.
I think that's a big one.
I agree. And we should start by putting buttons in cars.
I think if everybody just had a touchscreen and they could talk to their car, they would just be much more peaceful.
Just add 3 buttons underneath.
For what?
I don't know.
Well, what are the 3 buttons do?
Whatever you want them to do.
I'm pretty sure I have 3 buttons in my car.
Hey, Tesla, jerk me off. Hey, Tesla, my balls is hot. Hey, Tesla.
Okay,
like, you just press the button.
Your 88 BMW have a jerk me off button?
I mean, you can create one, yes.
I am looking at the wrong internet version.
You're looking at the wrong cars to buy, my man.
I wasn't
Those
aware.
cup holders come out with a grasp, bro.
Oh, man.
And then I guess we'll go for one more topic each.
Go ahead.
My topic that I have is rejection doesn't get much easier. This is something.
Is this specifically with dating? Is that what the reference was?
Yeah, this was the reference. This is something that I wanted to talk about because it just keeps coming up as a topic of interest between people that I talk to, along with, I think, just our podcast in general. I mean, we spent a good 20-30 minutes last podcast episode talking about dating and the do's and don'ts according to you.
My years of wisdom.
Yeah, so many years. Back in the Civil War and all that, right? So rejection doesn't get much easier. This is like, I'm someone who got rejected a lot. And people say that, oh, it just gets easier. Like every time you hear no, or you hear like, you're the perfect guy, but you're just a better friend or something like that. People think it gets easier to just hear it all the time. If you get praised for the same thing, like, oh, he's the one who created the computer, and then you just hear that for years and years on end, it's going to eventually get old. You're going to be like, yeah, I'm the one who built the computer, great, whatever. It's the same thing with rejection, I think.
Yeah.
What's your take on it? And how do you deal with it?
It comes down to your, both the same answer. It comes down to your internal monologue, which we talked about this in episode 212, I think.
Putting up numbers, bro. Haven't edited yet.
yeah. 212 is not live yet. It comes down to, we talked about in that episode, small wins, like paying attention to your wins, right? Paying attention to the monologue. So that's using the context of dating. You know, you come up to a girl and she rejects you or whatever. Try to find some small win in that, right? Did she smile at you? Whatever. And when you go into those situations, if you go into that and you're thinking about all the times that you've been rejected before, you're going to get rejected, right? You're not going to have any confidence. But if you go into that situation and you're thinking about all the times that you've won, that you picked up the girl's number, you went on a date with her, whatever, you're going to have a lot more confidence.
But then what if the end result is the same? You're rejected.
You're rejected. That's fine. You're going to have that. You have to control the internal monologue and pay attention to your wins. If you haven't got a girl's number before, find something. It could literally be fucking anything in your life that was a positive. That one time I looked in the mirror and I thought my shirt looked great. Whatever. Start wherever you have to be and then just start to scale up from there, man. It's just the same thing as business and sales. If you pay attention to all the times you got rejected on a sales call and you go into a sales call thinking about that, I tell you, you're not going to sell anybody, right? But if you think about all the times that you've sold people, you're going to have, it's kind of like the sixth sense, dude. You're going to have this confidence that you can't really describe. You know, you can't, there's not an instruction manual for it. Mm-hmm. So you just have to ignore all the times that you've been rejected. And I think another important aspect is just try to find maybe other people who have talked about it, who you think are successful. I mean, I'm thinking more along the lines of business. You know, let's say you're, struggling to find success. Well, find somebody you look up to. It might be Elon, whatever, and find all the times that they failed. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to pick up girls, try to find somebody who you think is really successful. You think is a pickup artist or whatever. There's YouTube channels for that. Find that person and try to find where they've talked about failure. And realize that the person that you want to emulate, how many women have you gone up to? 20? Well, they've probably gone up to 2,000, right? Mm-hmm. They didn't find their success in the first 20. This could be sales calls, this could be dating, this could be business, all of this stuff. You got to pay attention to the times that you've won, and you got to look at other people and realize that the people that you think are so successful, they've actually probably failed way more than you. That's the only difference. The people who you think, that's a good one. The people who you think are so successful, the only difference is that they have failed way more than the times that you have tried.
I said this last podcast. I'm gonna say it again. I'm framing this. That's I think a really good way to look at it. I mean, the way that the analogy I should say that gets me with this is, if I keep studying for an exam and I understand one concept, I keep understanding it, and then I go to the test, I get a 30. And then I go into the next test and I get a 30. I go to the next test, I get a 40. Like, I'm gonna keep. Like, I can celebrate my little wins saying, oh, yeah, I was able to understand that A squared plus B squared is C squared, but I keep getting integrals and derivatives wrong. What am I going to do? So changing your approach and looking at the nitty-gritty, I think, is a really good way to kind of tackle that.
I definitely think with sales and women, sales and dating, this could be, you're a woman trying to date, whatever. They are so alike. Like, a lot of it comes down to confidence. A lot of it just comes down to paying attention to their previous shit. A good friend of mine who now has a successful business, he once came to me for this advice. He was doing sales calls. Trying to over-summarize here. He was doing sales calls and just sucked, right? He did, like, first 15 of them, didn't sell anybody, right? Mm-hmm. And he needed to have, like, I think it was like a 20% close rate for this particular business model to be successful. And the guy who we both learned sales from had done like 1,500 sales calls, right? Before he like made this training or whatnot. So he comes to me and he's like, oh man, I'm really struggling with my sales. Like I suck at it or whatever. And I'm like, dude, you've done 15, okay? Go do 100 of them, okay? And then tell me that you actually have a problem, because more than likely you just haven't tried enough. So you have to pay attention to the wins, go into it with some confidence, and yeah, you'll eventually find some success. What I did for sales, I don't have a, I do have a one for dating that you could probably watch. But what I did when I first started doing sales calls, before every call, there's one of two scenes that I would watch from two movies. There's some scene in Boiler Room. Have you ever seen Boiler Room? It's about stock trading. Great movie. You should watch it. There's some scene in there that I would watch. It's a 3 or 4 minute clip, right? I would watch that before my sales call, and it would just get me pumped up. Or the Wolf of Wall Street speech. I would watch that one.
Yeah.
Where, I can't remember what he says. When he gets like up in the camera like this and stuff like that. I would watch that to get pumped up for my sales call. And doing the same business model as my friend I was talking about, I think like my third one I sold. Well, that was enough, dude. So, if you've kissed a girl or whatever, pay attention to that when you're going to pick up a girl, when you're going on a date, talk to her. A good movie you could watch to get pumped up for it is Crazy Stupid Love.
Oh, okay. I have.
Crazy
I have
Stupid
heard of
Love
that
is a good movie. It's Ryan Gosling plays like a pickup artist, right? If you're looking to, don't be a player. I don't think that's good. But if you're struggling to date, watch that movie and just get pumped up. I don't know what scene in that particular movie, but I think that could probably give you some confidence. That's your Wolf of Wall Street speech. Watch that movie before you go on a date and just have a little bit of
So
confidence.
Crazy Stupid Love will resolve rejection.
Will resolve rejection. Absolutely.
Done.
Go tell all your friends that.
Will do.
Yes, and pay attention to their wins. Let's see here. So we got how much time? We got probably another 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, your recording time is 1:38.
Thanks, Brian. I'm making sure that's sticking in the episode, buddy.
Yeah.
We need to get a camera on him.
I'm saying.
Oh boy, what else? Do we want to do an unpopular opinion,
If you want.
or do you want to do investing?
So investing, the way that I see this is I know next to nothing except for what you've told me before.
Yeah, in
So
the
I'm
hot
not
tub.
going to be able to say much about it. But if you want to go out and take the mic.
Did you buy
for
that
something-
book?
I have not yet. I will soon. I
So everybody
promise.
listening, go buy. Fuck, what's it called? Oh, dude. Oh, the problem is it's almost 1 and I haven't had my coffee yet. Tony Robbins. It's by Tony Robbins. Okay, I gave you the book to
Yeah.
It's
I
not
took
money.
a picture of it.
and Peter Maluk.
It's Unshakable.
Unshakable,
Yeah.
yes. Tony Robbins, Peter Maluk, Unshakable. Justin's going to put up a graphic. Where are you putting it, Justin? Here? Here? Where's he putting it? Anyways, read that book. It's a very basic book. You probably read it 3-4 hours, something like that. Simple terms. One thing that we didn't talk about in the hot tub when we were totally clothed, I bonds is something that I think anybody could get into. So I bonds are, you know what treasury bonds are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like treasury, but I don't know what that I stands for. But they're like treasury bonds, but they're tagged to inflation. So right now they are annual interest rate is I think like 9.6% or something like that on treasury bonds, dude. These are bonds backed by the U.S., full faith of the U.S. government. Like, if they go bad on that, you got bigger problems than money, right? Like, people are hunting each other for food, okay? So, I think anybody, if you have some extra cash and you're looking to do some investing, which, by the way, I am not an investment advisor. Don't listen to me. I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing
He doesn't
with money.
even know that the I in I bond
I don't know
stands
what
for
the
inflation.
exactly. If
He
you listen to
fucking
this
said it.
advice right now, you will lose all of your assets. You're going to be homeless if you listen to my advice. So don't listen to Dylan's investment advice because I'm not an investment advisor.
We just used to talk about this to fill up time.
Yeah, that's all we're doing right here. We're just guys that are talking. I would buy some I bonds is what I would do. I'd actually try buying a new set. They have a cap and their website's crashing because the interest rate's so high. It's like just Google I bonds and you can buy them treasurydirect.gov or something. You're buying bonds from the government that have a 9% interest rate, dude. Go buy that shit. But what we talked about in the hot tub when we were partially clothed.
Went from fully to partially.
Okay, so this one night, Sonny came over to my house after a hockey game, and we spent 2 hours in the spa.
Just chilling.
Dude, I was so waterlogged after that. Anyways, you're going to get it wrong, which you'll learn this in Unshakable. You're going to get your investments wrong. I know a lot of young people, a lot of college people are talking about crypto and, Robinhood made it really easy for everybody. You could set it up on your phone. You could put $5 in or something like that. And you had people with massive amounts of college debt buying GameStop, okay? Buying some stonks.
Mm-hmm.
Why the hell do they call them stonks?
Stonks.
I love that.
I love it too. It's my favorite meme.
Why is it
honestly.
stonks?
Stonks.
I'll say that to
Stonks.
to older people in my family or whatever. Like, yeah, I bought some stonks last night, and they're like,
What the fuck is a
"Dude,
stonk?
this guy is high." What you'll learn in Unshakable is you're gonna always be wrong. The smartest people in the world, they end up in Wall Street, and if you look at, take it over the long term. If you look at right now, go back 10 years ago, you can find in Wall Street Journal, Barron's, whatever, top 10 hedge fund managers or whatever, top 10 fund managers. Like, these people are the best in the world. They're unstoppable, right? If you were to take those top 10 people, like 9 out of the 10 of them underperformed just buying broad market index funds, right? The lesson there is those people are the smartest people in the world. You probably aren't the smartest person in the world. So do you think that you're going to be able to beat them? Probably not. And if you did make some short-term bets that actually won, it was just fucking luck. And realize that. The best thing long-term, which again, I'm not an investment advisor, don't listen to me. The best thing long-term is broad market index funds, which is what I do, what I would not recommend to you because you shouldn't listen to my advice. Brian, don't listen to this. Is just buy broad market index funds. I personally have a mix. All I did, which I told you about this before, all I did was I Googled I think it was Warren Buffett or Bill Gates top recommended index funds, and they, there's multiple articles that talk about the same shit, and they both had 10 index funds, low cost index funds that they recommended, different mix. I just kind of chose what I liked, and I have maybe 15% in global, 15% in tech, 20% in blue chips and stuff like that. If you bet on the long-term prosperity of the American and global economy, over the next year, you might lose money. Over the next 2 years, you might lose money. Over the next 20 years, that is a bet that has never not paid off. So bet in the long-term prosperity. Don't pick individual stocks, and buy some I bonds while they're hot.
What's your? Do you know what Acorns is?
Acorns? Yeah, the little things that fall from trees.
No, dumbass. the actual app. So it basically lets you invest. And what I've used it for is
it's like Robinhood, isn't it? I have
not necessarily. So basically, they used commercials to kind of market where, let's say you buy a sandwich for $5.95.
Mm-hmm.
Acorns rounds it up to $6 and takes that 5 cents and invests it. And what I used it for, because like I said, I had no prior experience to investing. I was just told by a family friend, hey, look into this. It's pretty cool. And if you have, the money to kind of spare, then every time you purchase something, those extra few cents will go in and kind of count for it. And it basically just takes that money and it invests it. Where it invests, I don't know. But what do you think about that kind of scheme towards investing, instead of picking out your own types of bonds like I bonds, or picking out your own kinds of funds, just letting the computer do its thing, or letting whoever runs Acorns do its thing over the long term? So
one with my strategy is to point this out. I picked it out 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember. 40 years from now, I plan on owning the same shit, right? It wasn't I'm taking a look at it all the time. That's part of what you learn in Unshakable is you pick it, you set it, and you forget it. I think anything that gets people kind of involved is probably a good thing, right? So if you're just getting involved and getting excited about investing and investing in the long-term prosperity, I think that's probably a good thing, right? So I wouldn't be opposed to that. The problem with kind of those apps or again, I don't know enough about Acorn, but based on like kind of what you're describing, they probably have a fuck ton of fees, which fees will eat you alive. So that would probably, I wouldn't make that my main investing strategy. But if it's getting you a little bit in the game, I think that's okay. Kind of backing up though to like not investing, but just like personal finance advice. I know a lot of people who they have credit card debt that they're paying 20% interest on, and they're making the minimum payment on that, but they're investing $500 a month in the market. They have a good job, they're making decent money, they're paying their rent or their mortgage, they're taking $500 a month put in their 401k, but they have thousands of dollars in credit card debt that they're paying 20% interest on, right? Well, pay off your debt first, like unless it's like a low interest rate, something that has a long-term prosperity of increasing in value, such as like, I don't know, a house. Pay those things off first before investing. I think that's probably, again, don't listen to me. I think that's probably a good idea. It comes back to what we talked about, I think, in episode 18. A lot of it comes back to being honest with yourself. So do you have self-control? So if you're so bad with your finances that if you have an extra $500 in your checking account at the end of the month, you're going to go blow it on some games or, some whatever, then you need to come up with a more automated investing strategy, whatever that is, whether it's something that, the company you work for takes it out of your paycheck. Find what that solution is and be brutally honest with yourself, which most people do not have the self-control. I was always interested in personal finance and stuff, so I do have a decent level of discipline with that. So I don't have an automated strategy like that, other than I think I do $6,000 a year to a Roth IRA because tax reasons or whatever. Beyond that, I have a very customized solution to how much money goes into it. But did that answer your question about the app?
Yes, it did. Honestly,
Yeah.
Like kind of taking your own strides with it and not letting it be kind of like a passive way to invest would definitely be great. Because what are you going to do with an extra 2 cents or 3 cents in your bank account? But at the same time, making sure you make the right moves. Just like you were saying, you're going to be wrong. You're not going to be able to just go in and say, oh yeah, I'm better than all of these investors because I just keep banking money. That's pretty much always luck.
Yeah.
So just making sure you make the right moves and waiting for the long run. If a college kid can understand that, I'm sure anyone can.
Yeah. So. One other thing, and this applies for everybody with investing, more so personal financing, which one more time, don't listen to me. I have no idea what I'm doing. Beyond paying off your credit card debt and stuff, a lot of people don't have any cash reserves. And that gets a lot of people, it happened to me. I wasn't investing, but so many times you start to get ahead and then something breaks or something happens and you're knocked back a couple pegs, right? Mm-hmm. The whole 6 months of cash reserves or 6 months of savings is a really good kind of, a basic thing that somebody should have, right? So that if your roof leaks or whatever, your car needs a new muffler. I don't know what cars need because I drive a Tesla.
You need a new tablet?
Yeah, you need a new tablet in your Tesla. You're not taking on a massive amount of credit card debt. I know a lot of older people who they don't have any cash reserves. They're doing the things where maybe they don't have any credit card debt, but they're putting in a 401k. They're doing all that. They have a mortgage, but the slightest wrong thing happens, and it's their life is in catastrophe because they got into a car accident and they need to pay a couple $1,000s to fix their car. So, kind of what I kind of did was I kind of walked the line between setting aside some cash reserves and paying off any kind of high interest debt, and then once I hit a certain point, that's when I started to invest heavily. And if I ever, business slows down or whatever, I would completely cut all investing to try to prevent me from going to my cash reserves. So save up a lot of cash and then
investing should be second. It shouldn't be the primary source.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Anything else to finish this episode of what is this show even called anymore?
Bro Talk.
I thought it was the Hydro Homies Water Talk Extravaganza.
All right, that's what we're calling it. Then that's what we're calling it. Episode what? 225.
I thought this was episode 462.
73 it is.
73. This is episode 73, man.
Yep.
Where can people find you?
We
We gotta have a good ending.
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram at Sinish Chavla. I'm sure. Was it Justin?
Well, Justin's he does the graphics and stuff. He's not going to do like show notes or anything.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Oh, I was gonna say put it on the screen.
No, I got you. He can put it on the screen.
Then put it on the screen for me,
Justin, put it like on the screen and like do like the birthday graphics.
That's Sinish Chavla.
Dude, how do you spell that?
SUNISHTHCHAWLA.
Okay,
You should
I'm
know.
sure
I'm
I'll-
now your business partner. You should know.
We're business partners now.
If we're gonna do the Hydro Boys,
Homies.
Hydro
Is that
Homies,
Hydro Homies.
extravagant. I can't even.
Hydro Homies water review.
Water review extravaganza.
Yes, the Hydro Homies water review and extravaganza, hosted by Sonny and Dylan.
You said Sunny and Ahmed before, but
That was you.
that was you.
That was me.
Roll back that footage.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Bladder Talk with Sonny and Ahmed.
Sunny and
Sonny and
Ahmed.
Ahmed.
But yeah, I think next episode we definitely do have to do that water tasting test.
Water tasting.
and rank it so that we can stay true to our name. And I'm sure we'll have a couple more not unpopular opinions, but things to talk about. I think that's something that really we should really focus on because it gives multiple perspectives. People that watch our shows, I think they're looking for something that they want to see more perspectives to.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily.
I think our
fake
fans
news,
are very
but
open-minded.
I
correct myself. I think our fan is very, very
There
open-minded.
you go.
Yes.
Shout out Aiden. But yeah, there's a lot of perspectives, and I think us covering a few would definitely get people's minds thinking. Let's get them in the right direction and get their head out of the gutter.
Absolutely, man. Cheers.
So, cheers.
It's a good show.
Good show. Indeed.
Thanks, man.
Yep.